Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Many thanks for joining us on Corporate Governance Platform, proudly brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, the hub of corporate governance. I am Tunde Odeyemi, and in today's episode, we want to look at sound framework management in corporate governance. And to lead in the conversation is a distinguished fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, Mrs. NKECHI ANYIMAH. Mrs. ANYIMAH is a legal practitioner, chartered secretary, corporate governance practitioner, certified IFC and ICSAN trainer, a facilitator, certified life coach, and the founding and principal partner of NKECHI and Associates Legal Practitioners. She has over 20 years active corporate and commercial law experience. She provides advisory services to several entities, including local, international, and multi-jurisdictional entities spanning across the mobile financial technology industry, financial advisory services industry, pension service providers, real estate infrastructure development companies, and engineering services providers. NKECHI is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, an associate with the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators in the United Kingdom, and a facilitator at ICSAN training. Mrs. NKECHI ANYIMAH is the chairman of the Lagos chapter of ICSAN. Mrs. ANYIMAH, you are welcome to Corporate Governance Platform.
Thank you, Dr. Tunde.
Yeah, we are highly delighted to have you on today's program, and you will be discussing sound framework for risk management in corporate governance. At this point, I'd like to invite our viewers to participate in the program by sending text message to either make comments or ask questions on this particular conversation. The number to send your text message to is 080-2323-1287. I take that number again, 080-2323-1287. You have the number on the screen of your television. Okay, Mrs. ANYIMAH, you are welcome once again. I would like to start this conversation by asking you, what does the term risk management really means?
Thank you so much. You know, to start a business and even to manage a business, you know, it comes with its own risk.
Sure.
So risk management basically is that process of identifying, analyzing, and responding to risk factors that make an organization vulnerable towards achieving their goals and objectives. No one starts a business to fail.
Sure.
And you want to make profits and at least maximize the benefits for all stakeholders. So it is very important for organizations to look ahead, and that's where risk management comes in. It looks at future vulnerabilities that an organization might be exposed to, and looks for ways to mitigate and, if possible, avoid such risk. I would like to give you an example.
Okay.
Assuming in an organization now you want to develop a technology software, okay, and probably you outsource it, and it is fundamental to the growth of your business to achieve your goals and objectives. And then the developers are telling you that they can achieve your deliverables in 6 months. But yet your internal team, the technical team of employees you have, know that realistically it can be only achieved in 9 months. Okay. Now, it's a project team leader that is proactive, having risk management at the back of his mind, will make steps to mitigate such vulnerability that may exist in terms of excess time. So it will take proactive steps to ensure that there's a contingency plan just in case those ones are not able to deliver. But a project team manager that is reactive in nature and is just waiting for crisis, we will just wait till the 6 months period is almost up. And then when there are a lot of deliverables that are not complete, now start reacting to one crisis after another. And you know what will happen? More time will be wasted, more resources will be wasted. So it will deplete the resources and capital of the organization. And no one is happy at the end of the day in losing money.
Okay, risk management in essence, you are saying is it helps to mitigate any incidents of vulnerability in an organization.
Exposures to the organization's operations.
Okay, what then is the relevance of risk management to corporate governance?
You know, a sound corporate governance system ensures that an organization is run in an efficient, transparent, fair, accountable, and cost-effective manner, because you want that organization to achieve its goals and objectives. Now, risk management ensures that the organization achieves that. So it looks ahead to say, where is the problem that is the vulnerable spots that this organization might be exposed to, so that they cannot achieve their deliverables. And that's why we say that they are strongly interrelated. So where an organization brings about strategies to ensure that it achieves its goals and objectives, risk management now analyzes these strategies bit by bit to see that wherever risk can be identified, it is analyzed in such a way that we know how it will be responded to, we know how it will be reviewed, so as to avoid that risk or even mitigate the cost of the negative impact that could likely occur when that risk eventually happens.
Wonderful. Okay, let me ask this. What is the purpose of a risk management policy? We're talking about the risk management policy, and what are the areas of focus of the risk management policy?
Okay. For a policy is basically a guideline, a manual.
Yeah.
And as I said, risk management cannot just happen. If not, it will just be a reactive team lead. Risk management must be planned for. So with a manual, a guide, it is already planned for. You know that in the organization, you know that these are the goals of the organization. You know that these are the strategies management has put forward to. So a risk management policy is such that every employee in the organization can identify this is our exposure, these are vulnerable spots, and then can follow according to the processes in the organization how they can respond to issues that come up, so that at the end of the day, the goals and the objectives of the organization is maintained and achieved. So a policy is just a guideline that the management puts in place and is checked by even the board to ensure that it's effective, so that everyone can know from A to Z what they can do in responding to any factor that may arise in affecting the company's business. Okay,
when you said everyone, is it every employees of the company, or there are some set of people in the organization that should know about the risk management policy?
In general, every employee should know about the risk management policy, because it is everyone is affected. So every stakeholder in the business have an awareness of what the policy is all about. So they know where to report to. When they see vulnerabilities, they know where to go to. Then most especially the people in charge of risk. So usually you have a risk management team, who is headed by the risk manager, and is part of the management team. Especially it's important for them to be aware of what the guidelines and policies are all about, to be able to make sure that the processes, everything is working hand in hand towards ensuring the company's profitability. Okay,
looking at an organization now, in what ways can internal control system strengthen risk management framework?
Okay, let me put it this way. If you have a risk management policy, how do you know it's effective, and how do you know it works? That's where internal control systems come in.
Okay.
It has to test the efficacy of whatever system you have put in place. So it will tell you whether it's sufficient or not. If we even look at it globally, there are some organizations that have been it has been in the news in a negative sense. In fact, I will even repeat an organization like Enron that people keep talking about as corporate governance failure. Why do we talk about it as corporate governance failure? Because it was as a result of weak internal control policies. If internal control policies were very effective, then it would have tested the efficiency and appropriateness of a risk management process in an organization. So it's to check and make sure that this risk management process works for this organization. Every organization has its own unique risk that is attributable to that industry. Even though you have general risk that is across board, but there are unique risks that are attributable to each organization. So that internal control will now test to see, does this work for our organization? Is there any way we can tweak it, review it so as to work? Because it's not cut and paste for every organization. So it has to be adopted to ensure that whatever the policies and processes they put in place is effective to achieve the organization's goal.
Okay, when risks are identified, what should the board of directors of the company do to reduce or to probably eliminate the risk? What should they do?
Okay. We all know that the board of directors have oversight responsibilities. So they are not in the day-to-day running of the business operation. That is left for management.
Okay.
But in terms of risk, it is sufficient for them to ensure that there is a risk process that assesses and looks at all the risk factors vulnerable to the company. And then there is a policy that employees are aware of that follow that process in order to mitigate risk. And then there are also processes involved to avoid whatever risk that may come up in the eventuality. So once they are satisfied that it is working, there are controls in place to ensure that this management process is effective, then it is sufficient for them in overseeing their responsibility. And where they notice that there are vulnerable points, that this process is not effective, is causing more harm than good to the company's operations, and the company is losing validity and losing shareholders, confidence and funds, then they have to get management involved to be able to review. Okay. And so their own job is to ensure that management does not see risk as an added burden. It does not see it as just a mere compliance issue that adds to the bottom line, the burden of the company. No, it's part of the culture of the company, because without a proper process that works, the company is left vulnerable to fail. So it must be imbibed as a culture in the company, and that's where the board has to focus on.
Okay, it must be imbibed as a culture in the company. Why? Because it is pivotal to the success of the company, isn't
exactly.
it? Exactly. Okay. What do you consider to be the major risk facing most corporate organizations in Nigeria, and what do you advise those organizations to do?
When you think about risk that it's happening now, the first thing that will come to your mind is fraud. It will always be a topical issue and can never be overflowed. But more timely right now is what we have been experiencing in the past 18 months, not just in Nigeria, but globally. And that is the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. Because of the COVID-19, you saw a lot of companies were pushed, even beyond what they expected, to rush into the digital space. So you saw them transferring most of their operations digitally, and so they were now occupying that cyber space. Many companies could not operate physically, so their employees had to operate remotely. This comes with its own individual risk. Many companies could not even have meetings in a physical location, so employees had to log into a platform. This comes with its own risk. And so it has seen an issue of data leakage, security of data information. In fact, there was not too long ago a news of a multinational that suffered data leakage, that a lot of its customers' finances were online. And that one, of course, is automatically that is damaging to their reputation, and which can automatically translate to damage at the bottom line. So this is a risk that, because that digital space, technology is a complex space that even corporate governance is evolving to address a lot of matters that are coming up. Companies now have to look critically at the risk involved in that digital cyber space. They have to beef up on their cyber security. They have to a lot of companies have to even come in with getting, digital consultants, technology consultants, to ensure that those vulnerabilities to their businesses in carrying it offline or online are addressed. so as not to at least depreciate, because companies want to be sustainable.
Thank you very much, Mrs. NKECHI ANYIMAH. At this point, we'd like to go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue with our conversation on risk management in corporate governance. Please don't go away.
Do you have continuity or a succession plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
You are welcome back. It's still Corporate Governance Platform, proudly brought to you by ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals. And we are discussing sound framework for risk management in corporate governance. And I still have with me a distinguished fellow of ICSAN, Mrs. NKECHI ANYIMAH, in the studio. Yeah, Mrs. ANYIMAH, you told us before we went on break some of the risks that are prevalent in this dispensation, at least for some corporate organizations. Now, I'd like to ask, are there some risks that are beyond the control of an organization in Nigeria? And what should the organization do regarding such risk?
You know, when you talk about risk, a lot of organizations only focus on financial risk, but there is also reputational risk. And that in itself is very, 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 very impactful and can be damaging. Earlier on, I gave the experience of Enron.
Yeah.
And then we see today a lot of organizations losing millions, even in hard currencies, because they did not take care of their reputational risk. You know, reputational risk cannot be overflowed, because a company that does not have reputation, nobody wants to associate with it. So at the end of the day, you will erode investors' confidence. And ultimately, it will affect shareholders' funds. So companies need to look more intently at reputational risk. They need to address the issues and areas pertaining to their own unique businesses in terms of what will be the reputation in whatever environment they are operating in. Because there are stakeholders, there are communities, that they are the host environment that your business is being operated on. So that in itself can pose a huge and substantial risk to organizations, reputational risk.
Okay, what are the downsides of not getting risk management processes or risk management functions right in an organization? Let's talk about the downsides.
There is a saying that they say, if you fail to plan, that means you have planned to fail. So if you don't get your risk management right, that means automatically you are setting up your business for failure. No one wants to start a business and then it remains vulnerable to and exposed to the business failing. Let me even give a very simplistic example. You want to start a supermarket business right now.
Yes.
And you want the business to grow such that it will even, be impactful to your community and outlive even your own, your own existence
yeah.
And period. So you know that one of the vulnerability and exposure to your business is fraud, pilfering from the cashiers. Risk will involve that you already put a process in place of checks and balances to ensure that this is brought to the basic minimum, if not, in fact, avoided. So that's just basically put. If you don't plan for it, then you will see yourself reacting to situations at hand. And before you know it, there is no business. And someone will ask you, you say, that company no longer exists. So it is very important. Risk cannot just be a one-off and spontaneous matter. It can't be a reactive plan. It must be foreseen. It must be put in place, a policy that is, in place, processes that people will know that this is what to do. In case there's some catastrophic risk that is too far to imagine, but it can happen. Like the COVID I just said.
Yes. Nobody
sat down and predicted COVID 2 years, 3 years back. But it has happened, and it was catastrophic for a lot of organizations. Many did not survive it. Some survived because they had good reputation, and that was why they received bailouts from organizations, systems, and even government. So that is why it is very important that organizations look closely and ensure that their risk management process is top-notch, is reviewed periodically, so that it is effective and sustainable for the organization's business.
Okay, it's like there is a message here. The message here says that why is it that companies do not take fidelity insurance to forestall theft? Why is it that companies do not take fidelity insurance to forestall theft?
That's one of the processes that I'm talking about.
Okay.
So companies that have put processes in place, whether you are taking the fidelity insurance or you are taking other mitigation processes to ensure that the vulnerability of your organization is looked at and is well analyzed, and you have an adequate response to ensure that that risk is transferred from you or is avoided in its entirety, are likely to succeed. But companies that sit back and tell themselves, okay, putting a camera just to answer the question is enough, you are likely to fail. Because even when you see, what steps have you taken to ensure that the loss is mitigated, to ensure that the company is able to bounce back financially, to be able to continue business?
Okay, what you are saying in essence, you are encouraging corporate organizations to take fidelity insurance to mitigate the risk of fraud.
It is unique to your organization.
Okay.
So I'm not hereby encouraging one form of insurance or the other. Okay. What I'm saying is that you need to look inwards, have a professional view your processes.
Okay.
Because every risk is unique to, different businesses have their own risk unique to it. So whatever your risk and vulnerabilities are, whatever can disturb your company or organization from growing in the future, you need to sit down. You have to also do that with a professional and analyze it, identify the areas of risk, look at your strategy, look at your goals, look at your objectives, then analyze the area of risk. Then now make adequate provisions to respond to this risk. Then you can now say, yes, you have a policy in place that is effective. And remember, we talked about internal control.
Yes.
So it has to also be tested so that you can now assure yourself that this is effective and it will work for us. And it's not a one-off thing. It has to be reviewed periodically in accordance with the time.
Okay, let's go a little bit into the Corporate Governance Code of 2018. The code, why does the code provide that the person in charge of risk management should be a senior management person and should report to the MD CEO?
The code acknowledges the importance of risk management to the life and survival of an organization. Okay. And that cannot be, something sensitive cannot just be left to an employee, a junior employee.
Okay.
You must give it to someone that has an oversight responsibility. It is management's responsibility for the day-to-day operations of the organization for it to succeed. So when you have a risk management team lead that is senior management, he has an oversight responsibility to make sure that he has looked at all areas, not just one aspect, all areas of the company's business, different strategies that the company have, different policies that the company have, and he has looked at where the company can be likely to be vulnerable so as to prevent any loss, so as to prevent anything that will hinder that company from achieving its strategy. That's why it's important that it's a senior management role.
Okay. I have another comment here. This comment says that it's still talking about insurance. Fidelity insurance is very key to our business because it caters for money in transit or in safe organization or in safe. It caters for money in transit or money in safe. Now, some organizations fall victim of this. We'd like to also make a little bit of comment on this. It's a comment.
Okay.
I think the first question is talking about fidelity insurance being a mitigating device for.
So you see, one of the will I say challenges that a lot of organizations look at is that they think mere insurance, paying for an insurance or entering into a particular insurance premium and arrangement with an insurance company is enough to mitigate all that risk in their business. But it's not, because risk involves, it goes beyond financial risk. Because even in that process, look at the example I gave in the beginning of a process that just involves delay in time, that kind of risk is not just covered by any insurance.
Sure.
It has to be serious processes that is put in place. It has to be effective policies that is put in place for it to come out to the benefit of the organization. So we should look at risk beyond just taking an insurance and going to bed. No. Every aspect of the company's business, every aspect of their strategy that the company sits down and looks at, every goal and objective they want to attain comes with its own incumbent risk. So it must be analyzed. That is why it's a full circle. It's not just looking at it one area and then going back to sit down, because one area will affect the other area, and then the company will also lose value and funds. At the end of the day, we want to make all stakeholders happy.
Okay. Given the importance of risk management to corporate governance, does ICSAN, your institute, offer training in this area?
Definitely. As I told you earlier before we came in, I said we are the frontiers, the foremost in corporate governance. So the institute we have professionals that have been well trained in the area of risk management. Mention it in any industry. We have someone to help. So ICSAN provides robust training. If you go to our website, you will see robust trainings that are there, different, that address the topic of risk management. Also, we give bespoke trainings to organizations. So if organizations need a particular help in a particular area, ICSAN is there to form a team to go. And then we have professionals that we even attach to organizations who can help you in addressing your risk management policy, processes, and even come up with a dynamic policy fit for your organization.
Thank you very much, Mrs. NKECHI ANYIMAH, for sharing your thoughts on risk management in corporate governance. This is where we wrap it up on today's edition. We want to thank you for watching, and we want to invite you to join us next week, same time, same station. I remain Tunde Odeyemi. Bye for now.
Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.